Righto, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time of the week again. It's that time for the podcast known as DIRTBAGZ. I'm your host, Josh Curran, and with me in studio is my co-host, Danny Curran. How you going, bud?
Mate, I love the way you say it's that time of the week again. I don't know what time of the week it actually is anymore. We've done thousands of kilometers. We're actually in Alice Springs with none other than Paul Weel.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, Wheelie probably doesn't know what time it is either because, mate, you are on the go this Finke. Everyone that we're talking, hey, I suppose that's true of most competitors. If you have a good run coming into Finke, you're either doing it wrong or you're doing it really, really right. One of the thing, but you've got a brand new Geiser G6 truck that's turned up. It's in time for here. It's all stick it up, and we've seen the photos. We've been drooling over it, haven't we, Josh?
It's one we've been really looking forward to see it in person.
Absolutely. Sure. And mate, and again, we're doing this pod real early in the morning. It's not crazy early, but it's early in Alice because at 10 o'clock there's a flight coming with a bunch of Americans from Geiser Brothers, and you're back out and testing and sorting things out. So tell us about your Finke lead up, mate.
Oh, first of all, thanks for having me on. It's great. I've watched your guys' stuff before, so it's great to be here. But yeah, Finke's a mad week or mad 2 weeks really. Like we left the Gold Coast Monday last week and drove up, together with Toby and myself. We sort of convoyed up and we took the world's longest way to Finke. I said to him, you've taken us the longest way.
Yeah, because you didn't come through Queensland.
No, we didn't come through Queensland. We went via Perth. Basically, and then we went down the southern way and through Port Augusta and back up. But it felt like the world's longest road trip, but it was a fun road trip anyway. You're right. It's a busy time. This week is very busy. The fortunate thing for us was we got all our pre-running out of the way.
Yep.
And that last week, which was great because this. Coming in this week, there's so many bikes on the track. Yep. And, the thing is, in a Can-Am, we don't want to be, have a bike fall off in front of us and run someone over. Yep. So I like to try to get all the pre-running out of the way before this week starts and try to relax. And, we ran the car yesterday out at a station and, ran really, really good. It was probably the most we've actually driven the car because we drove the car in the States early last month, but we didn't really get to drive it that much because of the time frame that we had. And the car's looking good. The car feels good. There's just a couple little more tweaks that we want to do because we're running the paddle shift.
Yes.
And so if we can make that a little bit nicer, it should be good for the weekend.
Yeah, that's interesting. So that's another thing that the Bo talked to us about, and obviously Toby had it last year. The paddle shift is a big thing now, isn't it? A lot of the trucks in America are running the paddle shift. And we're talking about all those little one percenters, both hands on the wheel. Now it gives you that if things go wrong that you can just keep on it and you find it comfortable to use the paddle shift. Obviously still tweaking it because you're getting, it's only this time frame, but you think that it's something that's going to be, on the money for you.
Yeah, I think it makes a big difference not having to, take your hand off the wheel to shift gears. Obviously the Albin's, gearbox, sequential gearbox with a just a normal shifter is really good and quick.
Yep.
You're not doing a H pattern or anything like that, like the old days.
Yep.
But you still got to take your hand off the steering wheel and, it's still, you got a lot of stuff going on. I look at Bo, he's in cars when he's driving and it's mad. You got a lot of stuff going on and you don't really realize how much you got going on at the time.
Yep.
And if you can keep your hands on the wheel, it makes it a whole lot easier.
Yes.
And the paddle shift is I think better, but it's hard to get used to.
Yep.
And I ran into Bo the other day, and he drove his Mason for the first time, and he said, the paddle shift's a little bit difficult to get used to, and because the other thing is we haven't got a clutch, also, so getting it in from neutral to reverse or from reverse to neutral to first, you got to play around with the turn the engine off and all that sort of stuff and do that really quickly. So that's one thing to get used to.
Yep.
And you can try to get it in, but it makes all these noises and it doesn't sound right.
Yeah, true. That's something I never thought about with the paddle shift car is trying to get it into reverse or out of neutral. Like with you just you
that's
sort
right.
of push it in with the Albans and that, but interesting.
Yeah, so it doesn't sound right. It sounds expensive when you try to do it and when it's running, but But yeah, it's all those little things, as you said. It's trying to get the 1%ers and to sharpen those up and make sure everything's right. And that's obviously the big thing, and that's the hardest thing when you haven't got a car, you haven't had a car, and you haven't ran it and done a couple of races or done a heap of testing in it. And you turn up here to the biggest race of the year. But at the end of the day, it's the technology is being used everywhere.
Yes.
As you said, they've been using it in the States for years. And Toby used it last year. He turned up here with a brand new car, spanked everyone's ass. And that. So we just want to try to see if we can tighten it up a little bit, the delay. And if we do that, it'll be a whole lot nicer.
That's unreal. Because as you were talking, I didn't even think you came from a 3-speed auto box, didn't you? So this is a big step forward. I was thinking like you're in an auto, but you weren't. You're in an auto turbo 400 truck, and that's interesting. So you're now in the shifting gears game. Yeah, that's cool. And
I know
you've driven it.
I know. There's a lot of gears.
Yeah, there is a lot.
Is it a 5-speed or a 6-speed?
No, it's a 6-speed.
It is a 6. Yes.
And you said Albin, so it isn't an Albin gearbox, because there is a few options there now as well, isn't there? Fortin and Mason Maddox is starting to come along, and they're doing those developments. So that's an ever evolving world there in the trophy truck field. Very interesting, because then we were talking about it in Australia time. You said you only really just driven it around locally and done a bit because it's only just turned up. Another one that's only just turned up, really.
Well, it's another one that got planed over as well.
Yes,
so,
yes, absolutely. Yes.
We asked Bo, and we said just a ballpark figure. The statement was lots.
Because we've always
it's got 6 digits.
Yeah, if we could zoom in on Wheelie's face right now, I think people listening at home they would understand how much it sounds like.
A lot of money. Because there's been a few trucks flown in over the years now that because I think gets tight, and it's the race in Australia, obviously, as we know. It's the race now that all the Americans are talking about. You've been over and you've run the truck in America, and you probably know lots of guys talk about Finke over there, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Like it was funny, last time I was there, I went to Luke McMillan's place and to have a look at his workshop and what they do and how they do it. And he was all about asking about Finke and what the go is, and he's got a racer there, a 2-wheel drive racer that he's not using anymore to race.
What a problem to have!
A very big problem to have. And he's like, oh, I'd love to bring my racer over, but because of the rules that we have, he can't. So that's the unfortunate part, is that I think obviously everyone always talks about rules for the trucks and all that sort of stuff. And if we could, even if it's a class that he's a invitational class or whatever it may be,
much like they did do at Don River.
Yeah, like they did do at Don River. I think that we would get some of these guys. The probably most unfortunate part is that the 500 is basically the weekend before, and that, so that would make it difficult for them. But you look here, Duncan's here from SDG who's going to navigate for Toby. Geiser brothers are here. Vance from Tisco's here. All those guys are here anyway. So, at the end of the day, they sell a lot of trucks into Australia. Absolutely. They know all the stuff, so they want to come over here and check it out and do everything. So, you can make it happen, but it would be nice to have guys like, the McMillans and, your Bryce Menzies and all that sort of stuff out here to really see, well, we go over there and race against them. And, sometimes we do well, sometimes we don't. But it would be, because they're the pinnacle of off-road racing, in the world, really, of in trucks and stuff like that. So it would be nice to have them come over here and race in our backyard with what we do. Even though it would be a different truck. And that bigger engine, unlimited, and all that sort of stuff, which is mad, and which I think that's what we need here. But anyway, that's
we got time.
That's
anyway. We can get into this.
How many days we got?
We got plenty of time.
But anyway, at the end of the day, it's the rules of what the rules are for here, and we all got to play by them. But it would be nice to see some of those guys over here, because I think it'd be I think we got some really good drivers. And you got guys you got guys like Billy Geddes, who drives once a year. He comes out and he's just a madman. You got I call him Uncle Greg Gardner, and who can drive wheels off anything.
Big fans.
But the world's fastest potato farmer. So you all the guys, Bo and Toby and everyone like that. Even right down, there's probably you got Gallard who's very good too. there's a heap of them. So, I think that's where, we're very fortunate with the talent that we have here.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we talk about it a fair bit. Would be really intriguing to see how they adapt to the Australian style of racing. Like talking to Harley and stuff like that, he talks about how a lot of their racing is sort of like jockeying for position to the last 100 mile and then dropping the hammer. Whereas like Fink's an out and out sprint. Like, we've
when he came over and raced it, he couldn't get over. He goes, from the drop,
Yeah.
these boys are just
make
a break. Oh, well, we talked to Bo yesterday about it, and he was so like, we had the conversation, which again we've had before, is that lots of them don't carry spares, because if you're stopping, if you're truly in the hunt to win, not position, if you want win, if you change a tire, that's it. You may as well park her up, like, because the guys are sprint racing.
Oh, exactly. Here now, you do a tire.
Yep.
And I haven't actually had to change one before, so thank God for that.
Yep.
They're heavy.
Yes.
But you do a tire here, you're done.
Yep.
Really, you do a tire, or you got to pull off a track for something or whatever.
Yes.
You're done.
Yep.
You can't make up that amount of time.
Yep.
Here with the trucks that we have, the buggy drivers that we have.
Yep. Well, that was one of the other things Harley said, is the first time when he come over for Fink and raced with Luke Ayres, he was saying he couldn't get over the buggies didn't have axles and CV strapped to them, and where's the oil, where's your pump, like where's this, where's that, like what are you going to do if you sit it out, like by the 10 minutes on the side of the road, or say 20 minutes trying to change an alternator, you're back in 50th.
Exactly.
T-Rob sitting on the side drinking Jack Daniels.
That's
what happens. So, that's how they live. But it's such an interesting concept.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting note there, because I saw, and I don't know whether he's going to strip it down for the race, but I had a look over Toby's truck last night at the street party. That's the word I was looking for.
That's it.
Had oil and doubled spares and lock nuts and wheel nuts there. Like, it was. Did you go over for a look?
No, I didn't.
No, there you go. But it was proper buggy dog.
Yeah.
He looked at the 6 and didn't look at the trucks.
Those buggy dogs, unbelievable.
Well, that's another conversation. We're getting a bit sidetracked here, but we had a chat last night, and you listed all of these people, which is absolutely true game. Like, there's a bunch of people this year that could win this race, and probably, I don't know, but isn't it crazy that like the likes of Shannon Wrench's name wasn't the first, 5 or 6 years ago, if you didn't say Shannon Wrench, and don't get me wrong, Shannon Wrench is there. He could win this thing tomorrow.
Exactly.
The guy's a talent, like everyone said it. But we just it was actually Heath Lawson was saying, like, the fact that he wasn't the first out of your mouth is an interesting one. Like, the game is because we look at the glory years of racing, which it was the glory years, but we're still it's just such a great group that has come through now. And you got your Comiskis, you got your Swindlehurst that's moved up to Pro Buggy, and that's a fast car. He's proven time and time again he's competitive. Even Ryan Taylor, Ryan Taylor's been on a stonking year this year. We've actually got a thing going on. Ryan Taylor was our first guest on the podcast, mate, and he actually we've got a 1-of-1 strike rate that everyone's run national championships after coming on a national level rounds.
They've won their national straight after, but there has only been one national since we've last.
And it was Ryan.
And it was Ryan. So no pressure, but we're doubling down because we've had a few drivers on before this one. So
we'll see what we can do.
I like that. I like
definitely.
That. So maybe let's get back to the trucks. No, I'm going to sidestep. What I want to know before we get into the Think Deep and the truck, because I want to hear all about the new truck. Because again, you're an interesting one because you've driven a Geiser. It was an earlier Geiser, and now you're in the G6. But let's get into how'd you get into dirt sports? Because we probably should even go back a step further. We introduced you as Paul Weel, probably not as PWR Paul Weel. So if you're living in a hole on our YouTube channel, this is PWR.
Sorry about that, people.
Well, that's a bit rough. But anyway, so PWR, you started PWR, and obviously they do everything: road racing, intercoolers, radiators, V8 supercars. You've got and then you're tied up with Lounsey with the Australian Safari stuff. You've got a huge varied sport, but here you are sitting on the couch at Finke in the desert race. How do we get to there?
Well, it's funny. I started off racing motocross and supercross. So I started off at a young age, and we moved to Queensland when I was 6 years old or something like that from Warrnambool, Victoria. So we know Owens, we know Wrenches, we know
a lot of off-road racers from that place, man.
We know all those guys, and so we moved to Queensland because my mum and dad had a radiator business, small radiator business, and there was 13 radiator shops on the Gold Coast. And we moved to Queensland to supply 13 radiator shops. That's sort of where we started off. And so I grew up racing motocross, supercross. I used to go to America for 3 months a year racing, on school holidays and all that sort of stuff. So I was sort of the era before Chad Reed,
Yep.
that sort of era, and I grew up, racing with guys like Troy Carroll, who won multiple Australian championships, raced in America, and everything like that. And then when I was 16, when I turned pro here in Australia, I broke both my wrists really bad, and it was actually just before I was about to go to the States.
Yep.
To go and race 125 pro over there. Do a year there of the AMA championship.
Yep.
And so I ended up actually stopping racing then, Supercross and motocross. And at the time, I was doing a toolmaker apprenticeship at K&J Radiators, which was my parents' business. And so then it was around the similar time when we first started. My dad said, well, come to America with me. I'm going to have a look at our aluminium furnace to actually make aluminium radiators.
Yep.
So I went to America. We bought a furnace, come back to Australia. And when the furnace turned up, there were some issues with it. And so I was part of the team, but, help fix the issues and put together what we needed to do to be able to produce aluminium radiators. And so then after that, I was about 17 probably 17 around there. And I started PWR. He said, oh, why don't you, go learn how to weld aluminium at TAFE. So I did that at night time and started PWR in the corner of his shed. And that because at the time, all the supercar guys were buying radiators from America, all the sprint car guys buying radiators from America, all that sort of stuff. And so it just started off from people that we knew, like Max Dumsey was our first customer.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So we knew Max, he was a family friend. And then it just went from there, and it went from, one person to two, got kicked out of the corner of the shed.
Yes.
Had to pay for the radiators that he was making, and all that sort of stuff. It's pretty rude, really.
A bit hard on your business plan, mate.
I know, exactly. Get everything for free, sell it for profit.
Yeah.
I love it.
But that's how PWR, that's how we started.
Yep.
And then I think 97 also, we purchased off the Zackers, Walker Evans's Dodge stadium trucks, and stadium truck racing in Australia was started and starting going good. And so we thought, we'll give that a go. It's a bit like motocross, Supercross.
Yeah.
And so went to the first race in Canberra, and I was 17, no fear.
Yep.
Didn't really care about anything at all. And
business profits were sky high. I mean,
exactly. And we won the first round at Canberra. We had no panels left on the truck by the end of the night, which is standard.
Yep.
And there's a few people wanted to have some fights out the back in the pits and weren't too happy and all that sort of stuff. But but that's where I started racing. That was my first foray into cars. And so we done that for a year. And the funny thing was Yokohama was a sponsor of the series at the time. And a guy called Alan Bradshaw, who was a motorsport manager for Yokohama here in Australia, came up to us and said, I want to do a deal with you guys for tyres and all that sort of stuff. And we sort of got halfway through a year, and he goes, maybe you should go and, try racing V8 Supercars.
Yes.
And so we never really, raced on tarmac or anything like that before. So we went and had a look and went and spoke to Larry Perkins, who we knew for a friend.
Yep.
And then we ended up buying a Ford Falcon off a guy called Steve Ellery, which was Tony Longhurst's old car.
Yes.
And because it was cheaper than buying one off Larry.
Yes. No family freight, no family discount there with Larry?
No discount. No. And so that's how we first started. We went to Lakeside, I think, the first time, and then went to Eastern Creek.
Yes.
And then 98, I started racing in Australian Supercar Championship, and then we just built on from that.
Yep.
And then in the early 2000s, I had Stone Brothers Racing, who we knew Ross and Jimmy Stone quite well anyway, but it was when Marcus Ambrose was there.
Yes.
And we had our own team. We're running our own privateer team. And 2002, they approached us early in the year to drive with Marcus for the two endurance races.
Yes.
So we done that, and then towards the end of that year, we actually had TWR at the time, which was HRT Kmart, and that come and approach us and wanted to have us come over to Holden and be part of TWR
Yes.
and use our licenses. And we ran Team Brock.
Yes.
Because I wanted to bring Brocky back into the sort of thing. I think more so for the merchandise side.
Yes.
And that, but they done that, and we had Jason Bright drive for us, and I drove the second car.
Yes.
And so we stayed there until right till the end, basically. And well, it was funny. Well, it wasn't funny at the time, but when we signed the deal, TWR actually went bust in Europe.
Yes.
And with the Formula One team.
Yes.
And so then Holden flew to Europe, bought the 3 teams off the receivers, and Mark Scaife got HRT.
Yes.
The Kelly's family, Todd and Rick Kelly.
Yep.
And John, their old man, got Kmart.
Yes.
And we'll give Team Brock back.
Yep.
So that was how that sort of all happened. And then the first year when we ran Team Brock, Jason Bright nearly won the championship.
Yeah.
We ran on a real tight budget compared to what other people were running.
Yes.
And very tight budget compared to what people are running now.
Yes.
Yes.
So it was good times and fun.
Yep.
And we ran that up until 2006. I actually retired from racing full time with supercars because I just lost the passion for it, and it wasn't fun anymore. The bullshit side got too much bullshit.
Yes.
And that wasn't really what I enjoyed. And the business started taking off. PWR started taking off, and by that stage, Keys, my old man, sold K&J radiators.
Yes.
And said, well, hang on, I'll come and give you a hand and invest some money into it.
Yep.
And we'll hopefully take it to the next level. And we bought a block of land, and we will go build a purpose-built facility there, and which we did. And it was right when GFC happened.
Oh.
And so we had a building that was worth about $10 million, and the bank kept on giving us more money to do it.
Yep.
And then we had a change of bank manager, and the new bank manager said, no, the building's only worth $6 million.
Yes.
So you're going to have to give us
Bit of
something back.
Yeah.
Which we didn't have at the
Yep.
time. And so we sold all our houses. My wife was pregnant at the time, and I come home and said to her, we're gonna have to sell the house.
Yeah.
And she's like, no dramas, let's do that. And my dad sold his house and everything like that. We had another commercial building actually with a race team in Melbourne, ran out of, and so we sold that.
Yes.
And we got all the money together and to give the middle finger to the bank.
Yep.
And change bank managers after that too. He was a dick. So
Yep. No, fair enough.
Yep.
Fair call.
But
I hope you listen to this, mate.
But I like that because
Yeah.
you really doubled down and went all in. Like it.
Yeah.
You had the vision. You knew where you were going.
Yeah, we did. We did. At the end of the day, we built. My old man said, "Oh, well, this facility that we're going to build is to take on the rest of the world."
Yes.
And that's what we did. We were, first we went to NASCAR in 2008.
Yep.
Then we went to Europe in 2009, Formula One.
Yes.
And that now we're fast forward a fair few years now. We're controlled product for NASCAR all through all 3 series. We supply every Formula One team on the grid. Every
That's
major.
amazing. That is unbelievable. I didn't know that. That's like I knew about the NASCAR thing, and because I was going to say what I did feel is like because as a young import rice boys, like the PW intercooler was the thing, but you sort of envisage, as in for us, and obviously not you, envisage when you become the biggest in Australia, well, that's awesome, what I mean? But you're looking biggest in the world, which is crazy, and I didn't realize because again I'd seen it because when I saw it in NASCAR, I went, man, that's awesome. It's an Australian company. And a success story. Now that I know it's even better, you know what I mean? It's not just like we've just got this big inject. Like, like you've doubled down on your options, and now you're in Formula One and everything. And
so what's some of the process of how is it homologated? Is that the right term, that you guys become the control product for Formula One? Like, so you guys.
Well, no, it's not a control product for Formula One. They still can use anything they want.
Yep.
But there's other people who still supply little bits and pieces, but basically we supply everything. And, at the end of the day, everything that we do for a certain team, we're a technical partner with Red Bull, Formula One, which we have been for years. And, everything that we do for, say, Red Bull is Red Bulls.
Yes.
Everything that we do for Mercedes or for Ferrari or whoever, that's theirs. And that, because we look at it as in there's plenty of different ways to skin a cat.
Yep.
And really at the end of the day, they go to us, hey, we want to achieve X and we want to achieve that this way.
Yes.
How can you make that happen?
Yep.
They give us the area, the shape,
Yep.
The heat rejection, everything that they want to achieve, the amount of downforce that they want to take off, or how much they can actually put their side pods in to reduce the drag and everything like that.
Yep.
That's what they give us, and then we come up with a solution for them. And every team out of those 10 or 11 teams always want to try something different, and they want to achieve the same sort of thing, really, but they want to achieve it a different way.
Yep.
And that, so none of them are trying to achieve it the same way.
Yes.
So that's where we're fortunate, where we can actually separate. It's not like, oh, well, you've got this, we'll give that to you. That's easy.
Yep.
But
even the trust that they must have you in a company, not to just turn around and go, hey mate, you know that Red Bull's over here doing this. Like they obviously, I know that there would be things in place to stop that, but that's still easy. It's happened in Formula One. It's happened in every racing across the world where they go, hey mate, have you seen what's on over? So that's brilliant, mate. Man, I did not. And the fact that logistically, although the world's become a smaller place with the internet, but logistically, that's got to be difficult for some of those teams that are in Europe not to use a European guy that they can go and sit on a couch. They can't. So to put the trust in you is a level and a jump, isn't it?
The funny thing about you say, logistically, okay, for like a team, and the way you're thinking is correct. You think, well, in the same country, you should be able to supply something quicker than from different side of the world. And it was the same as NASCAR. Okay, we would, if a team ordered in NASCAR a radiator on a Monday, we could send it on a Wednesday, and it would be there on Friday.
Yeah, crazy.
Okay, if they ordered one, but they don't usually order one. Okay, but if they rang our competition at the time, which was CNR, okay, over in America, which we own now, if they rang them, they couldn't deliver it as quickly as what we could. And it's the same as in Europe. If Red Bull rang a supplier there, they would be 3 times as long.
Yes.
That's amazing. And that's because of your processing and the ability to do it, not handmade. It's all factory made now.
No, ours it's all still handmade. Every single one is still handmade.
The boys just jacked up on Red Bull. They just don't stop welding. Is that what happens?
I know. And that's the biggest thing at the time, because we were small enough and nimble enough. We were able to do that.
Yes.
I was there the other day because I'm not don't work day to day in the business anymore, and I was there the other day, and I said, I want mate of mine wants to get an intercooler, and they said, oh yeah, that'll be 11 weeks. I said, what, 11 weeks? And he goes, yeah, that's how far out we are. And because they have right at the moment, because they're grown so much, there's I think there's 350 people at the factory in Yatla.
Wow.
There's another 100 people between America and Europe. And we have another factory in America, in Indianapolis. So because they've grown so much, we struggle here in Australia for trades. And which is a disappointing thing, because trades aren't like what it was 20 or 30 years ago, where when I grew up, if you weren't intellectually smart and would go be a doctor or a lawyer or scientist or whatever, you'd go to year 10 or to your 15 and leave. Which when I was 15, I was in year 9, so I was like, I'm out of here. And you go and do a trade. And nowadays people don't do that, a lot of things, and it's hard. But the biggest thing that PWR is struggling with at the moment is getting training people and trades, and that now they have my navigator, Andrew Reed, Rapid. He's a very, very good fabricator. And he works at PWR teaching the apprentices. So that's what they're doing now, to actually try to help process, fasten up the process of getting people into trades, getting people being able to actually produce product and all that sort of stuff. So it's one of those big things.
That's super cool. And I love that you've got like a business that size, like, you're pumping your apprentices through, and it's probably something that they're car guys, they're passionate about. They get to work with race teams, it's an amazing opportunity, because I do agree. It's interesting, this new world that, it's, I want to say even further, like it's almost frowned upon. Like if you're going through school and then you're going to become a boilie or something. Are you?
Yeah.
No, that's a great trade. You can make a good business. You can do lots of things. And that's there's a few famous quotes in there about the people that, that actually uphold the city and work.
Yeah.
And, and we're sort of like look down on them now. And it's a shame, because again, there's many, many success stories that have come from, finishing it. And again, kids, stay in school if that's what you want to do. If you want to become a doctor for sure. But then the flip side is that there shouldn't be anything, because, there's so many great success stories.
Oh, exactly.
You look at the Finke grid, there's many of them are tradesmen that have their own businesses.
Yeah, that's right.
And they've done very well for themselves by putting their axe to the grindstone and making things happen. And that's a great point. So it's interesting. So yeah, so you're doing all these things. See, and again, this gets me back to my point that now that I've heard all this, it's even more amazing that you're sitting in Alice Springs driving a trophy truck. Because you could be anywhere in the world, racing anything in the world that you want. You've raced a lot of things in the world, and you've gone, man, you know what I need to do? Just smack some whoops in this red dirt out of here in Central Australia.
Well, it's funny. I actually raced through here in 1997 on the Australian Safari.
Yes.
It was my first time that I raced an off-road car, like a proper.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, hang on, a Nissan Patrol. So I don't know if that's a proper off-road car.
It is a proper race car for Safari.
Back then, it was a proper car.
Absolutely.
Okay, wasn't a Toyota.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
But we done parts of the Finke track.
Yep.
And so that night when we come in, we had a night stop here, in Alice Springs, and that night when we come in, we had to weld up all the suspension mounts on my car.
Yep.
So yeah, I've raced part of the Finke track, and I think it was only probably about 10 or 15 Ks of it, but we done a good enough job to break everything in that time.
And said, gee, I think I need about another 15 inches of suspension.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And that's what started the bug?
I think, that's, that started the bug. Like I only raced in 97 in Australian Safari. When I stopped racing supercars, I had a massive crash at Bathurst in 2008. And when I after that, I didn't really do much for sort of 6 months.
Yep.
And that's when we have the Colorados for Holden. And so I went and raced Australian Safari, which was over in Perth again in the Colorado. So it was a little bit different to the Nissan Patrol, a little bit nicer, a little bit faster, a little bit better suspension.
Well, and again, it had the LSs in it.
Yeah.
And so if you aren't familiar with the Safari scene in that, because that was a big scene too. Like the Safari was back in the magazine days, you got multiple months of coverage out of Safari. And, they raced very much Dakar style and
that's right.
LS Colorados, yourself and Lowney. It was a two-car team. And it was really the heyday, Ben Grabham come from that era out of racing the desert.
And I saw him the other day. I sort of pulled up at the just at the gates, at the start of the track there the other day when I was done pre-running, and this guy comes over and goes, "Oh, g'day, I'm Ben," and I'm looking at him and going, "I know you from somewhere, mate."
Yeah.
I go, "What's your last name?" He goes, "Oh, Grabham."
Yep.
I said, "Oh, I knew it was you."
Funny, they call me the king of the desert.
I know.
Yeah. What a humble dude. Sort of come over and be like, "I'm Ben Grabham."
I know.
Well, here's another one we've got to get on the pod, Paul, because we got told at the street party the other night, and I didn't know this. So again, I might have to do some Googling and stuff, but apparently he's running a package deal now where you jump on and ride and race. So that he's not getting the nod. So that's an amazing deal that you can come and get a bike set up by Ben Grabham.
Not a bad way to do the Ironman at Finke, hint.
Hell no.
Well, there's another one. Did you know that apparently there is a young lady or a lady doing it this year? Again, Finke, guys, you need to get onto this PR because I didn't know it and I should know it. Apparently, there's a lady navigating in cars, flying, and then riding a dirt bike. So
really?
Apparently, there's someone doing the Ironman this year as well.
So she'll say if she does it, she beat Toby at the Ironman this year.
Beat him again. Yep,
exactly.
100%. So
I don't know what that price guy's doing.
Yeah. So just one of them slow guys. No. Anyway, the moral of the story is that obviously the Australian Safari experience would have been wild again. Trucks, logistics, racing, Craig Lowndes, you guys were right up the pointy end for a lot of years there, man. I want to say that,
it was a big effort, Australian Safari, because it was over in Perth, before it stopped, and so get everything from the East Coast over to the West Coast, is a massive effort. And it was so much fun because it's, you race all day, you're in a different place each night. And you're going over a different track that you haven't even seen. So it's a little bit different to this sort of stuff. And, going off pace notes and all that sort of stuff. And, it's a really good event, and it's a shame that it doesn't happen anymore. But in saying that, back in the late 90s and early 90s, Australian Safari used to be massive with the amount of internationals that come over, and that there's a guy who used to come over called Sven Quant, who is actually the boss of BMW Motorsport.
Wow.
And he used to come over and race a Mitsubishi over here, and he runs the Dakar program for the Mini program, so you used to have guys like that coming over here. You used to have factory Mitsubishis and all that sort of stuff, and it was awesome, the event. And it's such a shame that it's dwindled off and sort of not existent, or it's existent still, but on a smaller scale down in around Mildura area. And that, I think they run it. Yeah, so I think it's the Sunraysia or something, Safari or something like that now. And I was actually only talking to Glenn Owen the other day, and he goes, I'm going to take my buggy and go and do it again, and all that. So it's still happening, but it's just a shame it's not as big as what it was.
The grand scale that it used to be.
It was it was definitely an era there, like with Coconut Palms and those guys, and there was some really cool. Remember the Triton? Like there's some good stuff. So it was really cool. Hey, it was definitely. Well, here you go. We talked about building something to race in it. Where we were only like 19, 20 at the time, and we went, man, we got to go and do that because it just seemed like such an adventure.
That's right.
We knew we weren't going to win anything. But life's all about these experiences. And, the fact that you could go and do it, and again, same deal. Like I don't believe, as far as I can remember, that there wasn't the information out there for a ride packages. Because probably if Ben Grabham said, "Hey man, 10 grand and I'll pitch you and we'll do all this stuff," I'd go and do the safari on a dirt bike. I'd be a dead set back marker. I could tell I'd be following in the dust, but it doesn't matter. Like we said, it's the experiences. It's being in a different town. We were talking about the Gas Dash, that's a race that at that period of time it was a brilliant, and sorry, I should clarify, it is still a brilliant race. But I suppose the other thing is that there's a lot of great races now, isn't there? Like the Don, like we're almost spoiled a bit for choice. We had a conversation the other day that I reckon now, like the Australian Championships, and they are pumping. They're brilliant. They're not taking anything away, but there's a lot of guys that have got a lot of really nice race machinery now that just pick and choose.
That's right.
We were guilty of it ourselves, even back in our day, due to budgetary constraints and all the other things and work. And you go, oh well, if I can do Gundy, Finke, and Don River Dash or Burdekin or whatever, I mean that's 3 different clubs. It's not a series. It's just the current boys series. You know what I mean? And that's the sort of thing that I think a lot of people are picking now, like the Owens and that. They're still racing. Exactly. They're just picking and choosing what they love doing and what fits in with seasons and what fits in.
Well, just what they want to do now. What I mean? They don't want to chase everywhere. They don't want to go to. They may not want to go to Western Australia and stuff like that. Last year we looked at we done St George, we done here, and then it was like, okay, well, hang on. Should we do the rest of the championship or whatnot? And then it's like, well, hang on, I don't really want to go to Western Australia because of the expense. At the end of the day, it is a big expense. And we knew that we were building a new truck. I flew out of here last year on a Tuesday and flew to Darwin to go and race Stadium Super Trucks in Darwin and get my head belted around in the cage when I rolled the thing.
Off the jump.
Off the jump.
I do remember that.
The day I flew out here on the Tuesday, I was sitting in Darwin at the casino at the hotel there, and I rang Rick Geiser on the Tuesday and said, I need to order a new truck. What can I do? What do I need? What's the best thing?
Process?
What's the thing? He goes, we need this, this, and this, and this. And the funny thing was, I actually had a truck sitting in America, a G6 already sitting in America. That was an unlimited truck that I bought at the end of 2020. 2020. Because I thought by the end of 2020, this COVID thing would be gone. We'd be able to go back and go and race over there. So I bought a truck, a G6 off Smiley Motorsport over there, and had no miles on it whatsoever. So that sat at Geiser Brothers there for almost 12 months. And Rick rang me when I was actually driving up here in May to go and do the brekkie bash.
Yes.
And said, hey, I think I've got some guys who might want to buy the G6. And I said, okay. And so they ended up buying it, and that was Jack's Redline and Ken Block.
I was going to say, I got some guys. You might know them.
Yeah.
Couple
Couple
might have heard of them.
You might have heard of this guy.
blokes.
Yep.
Yeah, so they bought that, and that's what they ran last year in 1,000. And I think they finished 5th or something like that, I think it was.
They were 3rd, weren't they?
Were they third
they
or
did
fifth?
very well.
They did very like for their very
very well.
first, like for a brand new truck, fresh off the box, like never raced, jumped in it, and I think they were 3rd because it was a bit of a cat amongst the pigeons. With like,
that's right.
No one suspected that a 2-wheel drive truck would be up there.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, the other thing is that it's funny, isn't it? That, like, and I know that this is the internet, it's love or hate, like, because obviously Ken Block's got fans, but man, he's got some haters that like, oh, he's only here because he's wait, man, that like he can drive. He can steer. I don't know.
He can drive.
Like you see his rally footage and that, and he has a few crashes. Who doesn't have a few crashes?
Exactly.
I was going to say, if you're not trying, you're not binning it. Oh, sorry, if you're not binning it, you're not trying. But it's an interesting game, the old internet these days. But anyway, that was an off topic, but it was just it blows me away because I saw it again with the Ken has just built his Porsche to go Pikes Peak climb.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And they're sort of this and that. No, that. Mate, let him have it. He's having a good
Mate,
time.
he loves motorsport.
Loves
so,
it.
if people are spending money in motorsport,
absolutely,
I think it doesn't make a difference how much money they got or how little they have. If they're spending money and they're having fun on whatever scale that may be, good 100%. On them.
Yeah.
So you offloaded the G6
yes.
and then continued on down the path of building this, or this G6 that's here in Australia was already in the build process?
Well, sorry,
sorry,
mate. I got to pull. I appreciate the question. We're getting back to it, but I want to. So, where does this fit into the timeline of you buying Toby's truck? Like,
Toby's truck. Well, actually, Toby's truck had come about was 2019. I ended up riding across the desert. I'm good mates with Daryl Beatty.
Yes,
and he does his venture tours on the motorbikes. So I grabbed a mate of mine and thought, hey, let's go and ride across the Simpson Desert on a motorcycle, freeze our nuts off, which sounded like a good idea in summer.
On the Gold Coast.
Yeah, on the Gold Coast.
Sitting on a beach,
exactly.
Drinking a margarita.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly right. And so we done that, and we ended up here at Finke, in Alice Springs. And so we ended up watching about 25 Ks from the start.
Yes.
Just across from Autumn Station where we were staying. And I saw Toby come through. I was filming it. I saw him come through, and I turned around to my mate. I go, I think I need one of those.
Yes,
I need to be doing something here.
Yes.
I hadn't raced anything for 11 years or something like that.
Yep.
Or something.
That
something
itch that needed scratching. Yes.
Yeah, something to do. More so, and so I actually went to the airport on the Tuesday. I was in the airport, and I ran into Dave Ellis, who looks after Toby.
Yep.
And I said to Dave, I said, oh, do you know any trophy trucks for sale? And he goes, well, ours might be for sale. I said, oh, well, I'll come and see you when you guys get back, and we'll talk.
Yep.
And so I went and saw him. I didn't know Toby then. Went and met Toby, and they were in the process then of buying a Tisco.
Yes.
And so I sort of said to him, well, maybe if you're buying a Tisco, hey, get me a price on a Tisco as well.
Yep.
And we'll, sort of, if there's two, might be better than
a little discount.
Whatever. And that price was a fair bit more expensive than what I wanted to spend at the time to see
dip your toe in the water and see if they like it.
Yes. Dip it in. And so I ended up buying, they went and done the shoot later, a couple months later, or a month later, actually, at down at Kyogle for Red Bull.
Yes, that cracked video.
The cracked video. Yep. And so I went down a couple of days before they done the shoot there, and they were just practicing. Tobes was practicing and that, and he said, "Oh, jump in," and took me for a ride. I shit myself. Pretty much. And that because I hadn't been in a car for a while.
Yes.
Yeah. And the sensation and that. Yes. And then
obviously super different to like what you had been racing with V8 Supercars and stuff like that.
Even the off-road, the safari stuff, like things you got to check up for. You got to turn your brain off driving a trophy truck.
Like. I know. Yeah. So I went and done that. Then he hopped out and I hopped in the driver's seat, and he said, "No chance I'm hopping in
Yes.
next to you.
Classic driver.
Yeah,
Yep.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
So Duncan hopped in. Duncan was out still, and he hopped in, and he was giving me a little bit of a hand of, this, how you need to drive it and do this and do that. And so we done a few laps around, and then we went over some jumps and parked up. And Toby said, "Well, I think that's enough. You look like you can drive
So
it.
you're ready to go.
Yeah, you're ready to go."
Yes.
And so then basically, I went from there. I said to him, "Yeah, I'll buy the truck."
Yep.
We, sorted out the money part. I'll buy the truck. I said, "But I'm going to America to go to Geiser Brothers to go and do a test in a unlimited truck over there, because we had a relationship through business with Geisers."
Yes.
And so Rick said, "Hey, come over, have a drive, have a,
Yep.
and that over whoops and do everything and that." And he said, "Yeah, go and buy Toby's truck. It's,
Yes.
That's what you should be buying."
Yep.
And so flew to America, went to where they run the Parker 425, and we done part of a track there, and done, probably 2 or 3 hours of driving.
Yep.
More comfortable, come home, picked up the truck off Toby, and went to Gundawindi, I think the first race was.
Yeah.
And nearly cartwheeled it in qualifying. Put the wrong fuel in it, didn't take brake pads,
Yes.
all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. That sharp learning curve, that very sharp learning curve. Yep.
But we had fun.
Yes.
What
What a track to dip the toe into,
Yes.
Gundawindi.
Well, I want to go back. I'm just laughing at Toby's what's the right word? The manipulation of how to sell a trophy truck 101. Hey, just come for a ride with me.
Exactly.
And you're hooked. But exactly right. What a great track like Gundawindi to experience for the first time. And obviously, from what you were saying there, like the whole, it sparked your love of motorsport again. Like that passion that you sort of felt like you'd lost with everything going on in V8 Supercars was just lit back up again.
Yeah, and that's what and that's what it's about. You do something so that you can do it to enjoy it, either with family members or friends. And it's something, my old man's still very passionate about motorsport and about racing and all that sort of stuff. So, he's very passionate about what we're doing.
Yes.
And loves it. And then like my wife is, she loves what I'm doing as well. So that's, makes it a whole lot easier.
Yes.
Does she love the 1 degree weather in Alice Springs? Or?
We'll find out this afternoon when she gets
when
here.
she lands. We know that track. You fly them in late.
Fly them late. Yeah. But she come last year and she loved it, and she's coming back. So
yes,
that's good.
That's good.
Yeah. I still can't get her to sleep in a swag.
Swag down the far end. She's staying in Alice.
Yeah, staying back in Alice. But
like it.
But yeah, so it's it's that type of thing that for us is that it's the enjoyment.
Yep.
And that's why we do it. That's why we've worked very hard, been successful in business, and we're fortunate enough that we've made the money to be able to go and do this.
Yep.
And to do it to the level that we're doing it, not only here but also in America.
Yes.
So we're fortunate enough to do that, and we're doing it not because we think we're going to make money out of it.
No.
But we're doing it because we want to do it and we love it.
Yep.
And we're doing it, for the sport here. I think everyone who races off road here, at the top level, they don't, they do it because they love it. And, they're spending a lot of money, and it doesn't make a difference if you're in a buggy, a truck, a Can-Am,
Class 7, Class 8, like everything. Yep.
And I think the more cars that we can get, the more good quality cars, the more competition, and the tighter competition, the better it is. And it's the best thing that I love about off-road racing is that it's everyone helps everyone.
So someone will give you a part, like if someone will give you one of their spare parts to help you try and beat them. It's just something that doesn't happen in any other. That was something that instantly drew Dan and I into off-road racing, was the fact that like it's a community. Like
exactly.
There's, don't get me wrong, there's competition. There is competition, but there's also a lot of help to keep that competition.
No one wants to win off the track. We all want to win on the track.
Exactly right.
Yeah, so that's crazy. But so it's interesting because that puts you in a pretty unique position to, you've literally owned, not just driven, owned a earlier, not that it was an early Geiser, but it was a 6100, one of the earlier ones.
Yeah, I think it was 17, I
Yep,
think, something like
yep.
that. Yeah.
But it was like sort of what you might call like one of the earlier generation ones.
Yeah.
Yes.
And now you've had an unlimited G6 and now a 6100 G6. Or is it a 6100 size, or is it somewhere in the middle?
It's a G6 size.
Oh, so your new truck
Wow.
is
Yeah.
full
Oh,
size.
man.
It's full size
Yes.
with a small engine.
Yes.
Yep. And it pushes it okay.
It does push it okay.
Yep.
We done a
It's
bit of a speed check the other day
Yes.
against another truck.
Yes.
So when we went testing, but it was quite good. It was good. We were happy with it. It handles so much differently compared to the old guys of the 6100. So like we're 2 or 3 inches wider.
Yes.
We're probably I think like probably 12 inches longer in wheelbase than the old Geyser. And that because actually yesterday we had cars on display at Hose Tech here, and Kaminsky had, because he bought the Geyser off me, and so they were basically next to each other, so you could see the big difference between them, which was cool. But it handles so much differently. It sits in the corners. It's from the limited amount of time that I've driven it sits in the corners. It's so much better. It's more predictable than what the 6100 was. It's not as nervous. And that's a big thing, going from a full size, from a 6100 to a full size truck is totally different. The driving is totally different, everything like that. So,
because I think it's interesting for anyone listening at home that hasn't had a lot to do with these, like a Jimco Pro buggy, or the buggy we race, is 124 inches long. A Geyser 6100 is only 120. Like you look at a trophy truck and go, they're monsters, and they are monsters. But it's really like buggy wise, they're actually on the slightly shorter scale. Whereas like yours is obviously at a full length, which will settle it down and make it great. Yeah, that's interesting. I did not know it was a full size, so it's very interesting. And then motor wise, you've gone the Dugan's KRE, route, like the
So we got a Dugan's in there, which is they don't do much of the small stuff anymore. So they've done a very good job. They've produced a heap of power out of it. It's
all the usual stuff, 8 stacked,
everything, just all the usual stuff. I
love the way all these guys sitting here say, just all the usual stuff, like all the usual paddle shifts and 8 stacks. Just the usual stuff.
Shift,
6-speed sequential box, a torque converter, so it's clutchless, like
even
all this sort of stuff.
Bo was sitting in that couch yesterday, and I said, asking about his suspension. He's like, just the normal stuff, and it's got Fox 4.4s with the coolers, and yours has just the normal stuff.
Just all that normal stuff. But Bose doesn't have PWR radiators. He's got some other shit brand. So anyway,
there you go. So he's definitely broken down tomorrow.
Definitely right.
Hey, I'll knock on that. Hopefully he doesn't.
Toby's definitely got PWR radiators now, so he's all right. We like him now. Anyway,
Now.
But I think the main difference, with this G6 here that we built was, obviously for here. So it's got the smaller engine, where a little bit less in the fuel tank size. I think about 40 litres less in the fuel tank size over a full-size G6.
Only one spare?
Only one spare.
I was going to say, even ask down, do they trim down? Because obviously you don't need tail shaft mounts. You don't need alternator brackets. Or has it got all of that on it because that's the package? Or
no, we took all that off. Really, we took, we don't have the air jacks on it as well. And that we lightened it up by about probably 800 pounds. Just so that,
Is it a secret what weight it actually sits at?
I don't really know what
to be honest. No, I don't know.
It's too heavy.
Too heavy. No. The thing is, the big thing is what we're worried about with doing a full size truck was, was being able to actually to be able to push it. With the engine, because we only got the 6-litre engine. And so that was the biggest thing that we're worried about with going to a full size, because really, ultimately, we probably should have done it this year for next year. With a 7-litre engine. So like we've already ordered a 7-litre engine through Dugan's. We done that when we went have a Mint 400 because we wanted to have it here. We didn't want to have any hassles like we had this year with getting delays with COVID and all that sort of stuff over there in America. So, it's that was our biggest concern about being able to push it and have the top speed.
Yep.
Compared to other trucks. But if you go and look at a Tisco, or you look at the Tisco, the newest Tisco, which is Toby's, you look at Bose Mason, and that they're all within about an inch.
Yep.
And that, so they're probably not compared to the old Geiser, where the 6100 was smaller.
Yep.
I don't know about the new stuff. I've never seen a new 6100 Geiser anyway, because I'm more so building unlimited trucks over there all the time. But you look at the Tisco, you look at the Mason, they're not a true 6100 as in what we used to have here.
Yep.
They're a newer spec, they're wider,
Yep.
they're bigger and all that sort of stuff, which from what I felt, what I've seen from a couple of other trucks, is that it settles the trucks down a little bit. It's a lot nicer, it's not as nervous. And that was the biggest thing that we found last year with our guys. Was as soon as the fuel load came off, it was really nervous in the rear. Right. And so you talk to a lot of other guys about it, and they say the same thing. The small truck, it's really nervous in the rear. And so that's the biggest thing that we wanted to try to settle down. We wanted to try to have the truck so it wasn't as tippy. And we got through the corners better. And from the first sort of feel, the G6 does that. And that's what we want to try to achieve.
Looking at it with the panels off, because I saw the photo with the panels off the other day. The interesting thing is that, because initially it sounds sort of funny. I mean, obviously there's little line changes and that, but they do look very similar. And then with the panels off, I think that you get the full gist of they've shuffled a lot of weight around, haven't they? They've moved it to places that they want it. Because again, if you're not up with all the dynamic side of stuff, weight can actually be a good thing, can't it? It can settle the truck, as you were saying, but it just needs to be in the right place. It can't be up high, all that sort of stuff. Move it around, and that's what they look like they've really developed with that setup.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the thing. It's no matter what sort of race car, if it's a tarmac race car or it's an off-road race car, you want your weight to the lowest point as what you can for the center of gravity. And if you got weight up high, it makes the car a lot more tippier. So the big thing was we wanted to pull the weight out where we wanted to pull it out, and we'll put weight in where we need it. And the engines move back a little bit further, so it's not so much over the front. We've got a bigger fuel tank than what most of the cars here do have. We've got probably another 40 or 60 litres. So then when we do go to a 7-litre,
ready to go.
We're ready to go. We don't want to have to do a fuel stop on the way down. But,
that's right.
But you know what I mean? So we've done stuff, to sort of, future proof it for next year. But more so to actually help the car perform better.
And also with that lower weight and maybe a bit more weight with the size, like you said, as the fuel burn comes off like that, it's not such a monumental change. Like you're not losing 200, 210 kilo from a slightly lighter weight car that's right at the back. Like now with where that fuel cell is, as it burns off, it doesn't quite affect the car as much. Yeah,
exactly. And, the funny thing was people's psychology of it was, hey, we need to lighten these things up as much as we can, because, the buggies are lighter and all this sort of stuff. And now everyone's going, well, we need to put as much weight as we can to help the car actually perform better and handle better.
And stay more consistent across a whole a long race like this.
Exactly.
No, that's fascinating, mate, because again, you are one of the few people that have driven both back to back, and now to step up, and the fact that it's a full size. Again, let's get 40-inch tires. You're on.
40-inch tires.
Oh,
that's just
40-inch tires.
Had to think about that one.
Yeah, the big ones.
Those ones, those round ones.
You can say whatever you want, mate. This is coming out after Finke, so you're not giving away any secrets here.
I know. Mate, it's no secret. We run. Everyone runs 30. Well, most people run 37s in qualifying. Run 40-inch in a race. All that sort of stuff.
Absolutely.
So there's no secret about that.
And you're working with like SDG are doing your suspension? Are you doing your suspension yourself, or
no? We worked with SDG over there before we went testing. And Duncan come and sat next to us when we were testing and said, no, hit shit harder. Don't be a wuss.
Well, I think he's like SDG are good. Like there's a number of great companies around Australia as well. So, but like the fact that those guys and guys are in the same boat now, like, and Tisco are in the same boat, like, where they've come to the race. They actually understand what's here. They're not just like, oh, I've seen a video of something.
Yeah,
and you
exactly.
go, oh, you need this, mate. Because I can tell you, and I'm sure you're well aware of it, back in the day when that first happened, like when Geiser came over, I hope I'm not telling any secrets here, but we were sort of, with Billy and Bo had his and that.
Yep.
And even he said, he goes, oh, what we thought Finke was totally different. So, like a lot of people sit over and I'd be the same boat. Oh, I know what Dakar's about.
Yeah.
I don't.
Exactly.
I've watched the videos. You're talking rubbish.
Totally
So,
different.
So it's interesting because I think that you're working with the right people with respect to they've been here. Even though they've got the experience that you can sort of only get from working on, like those guys work on trophy trucks all day, every day. They like, that's the other thing that blows me away. We're a bit unfortunately limited by whether it be testing spots or time or whatever it is in Australia. Like we went over with Harley and even a 10 car like Jared Salenbach. We were racing went to Vegas to Reno with him and Baja and a few other things, and like they're out testing like every week at Barstow. Like
it's easy. You can go there.
Yes.
It's an hour down the road from their workshop or whatever.
Well,
Same
Fox and King set up a trailer out there and come out on a Wednesday and they just run the cars.
Yeah,
like,
Fox has a shed there.
Yep.
There you go.
At Barstow now.
Buster City.
Buster
City.
Because there's pretty much, again, for the guys listening, there's pretty much two main areas.
Yeah.
And Plaster City's the one with the power lines where they run down with McMillans and that. Yep. And Barstow's another rocky one.
Yeah. And it's the same as Geisers. Like Geisers are out of Phoenix, and that they got a little out about probably 20 minutes from their workshop.
Yeah. The Geiser Loop, they call it, don't they?
Yeah. And then if you want to go and test something, properly with whoops and everything like that, you go down to where Parker was.
Yes.
And which is 2 hours away. So
nothing.
It's not like us. Like when I got the truck here, I was like, oh, I want to go and run it before we actually go to Finke.
Yeah.
And I was looking, going,
where
can I go?
Yeah.
I can't go anywhere.
You probably got to ring up Marson and come up to Burdekin and run it through there. Like they built those whoops to do that. That's it. But you're absolutely right, because that is the issue with many things. You sort of set up and do this, and then you get to Finke and you run around even the off-road track. Like the off-road track's very different to the Finke track. It gives you a good idea, but it's not perfect. You know what I mean?
It'd be perfect if they actually open it up for us to be able to
run. Is it shut this year, is it?
It's been shut for the last, I think, since like 18 or 19.
Oh, bummer. I didn't know that.
That's you can't even walk the prologue track?
No, as in the Alice Off-Road Club.
Oh, the Off-Road Club.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Because that used to be a mecca as well back in the early days. Like,
well, that was half the fun of coming to Finke. Like, you'd go out to the Off-Road Club and have a look. Yeah.
It was mad because before we left, they were going to open it.
Yep.
And then the committee members voted against it.
Yep.
And it's like, the silly thing is everyone I've spoken to this week about it, they're gone, it's, it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And, like I said, well, would you pay $1,000 to go there for 5 hours to be able to test your car before you go before the race?
Yep.
And they go, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're spending this, a shitload of money anyway.
Exactly right. Where do you draw the line? Yeah.
And the thing is, the amount that you get out of it, and more so for a safety thing, because everyone preps these cars.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. We all turn up here and we get a little sight lap of the qualifying track in the dust.
Yep.
Okay, with 165 best friends.
Yes.
And then we sit there for 2 hours until 3 hours until your qualifying time is, and then the next day
to go hell for leather.
Yeah, hell for leather. And then the next day we race down a track with people sitting on the side of it, in stupid places. Some of them. But what happens if something breaks? What happens here? What happens there? At the end of the day, I believe that there was a truck that rolled the other day. But it was because something broke.
Yes.
So that would have broken qualifying.
Fine. Yep. Exactly.
So, where do we, everyone's spending this much money to get here, the time, the effort, the everything. And if you break something in qualifying, you cartwheel the thing and wreck it. Well, your whole weekend's done.
But also even just to get your mind in the right place mentally. Like look at any professional sport. Like footballers don't just sit in the change rooms and walk out onto the field and start playing. Or a cricketer doesn't, the bowler's out the back. He does 15, 20 overs in the nets before the game actually starts. Like warming up, getting your body, getting your mind in the right place. It's a super important thing for this race. And like you said, there's all that. Like there's the prep time, there's the travel time, there's the there's everything that goes with this race. There's the pressure, it's the big one. Like I know there's people that have happily said I'd throw away a championship to win Finke. So to not be able to like at least even get in your car and do, because even drive it around a track at 80%, like just to sort of feel, that thing is it's very tough for the drivers and the guys that have to come out here and just throw it all on the line straight up. Yeah.
Exactly right.
Especially when qualifying is so crucial out here. So, like you
And
really
short, such a short track. Like we were talking about that as well. Yeah,
and especially when they take the whoops out of the track.
Yeah, that's a controversial one. I've seen plenty
just
of
for the buggy dorks.
Yeah.
I'm feeling personally attacked.
Oh, sorry.
No, but you're right. It's an interesting one because
at the end of the day, the track's the same for everyone.
Yes.
I've been around the qualifying track a couple of days, on the push bike, and you think about
dig some holes in it? Or?
Yeah, I've been out there excavating every night,
doing skids on the bike, getting one of those mad Arab guys.
Exactly, and you just look at it, and I think the Finke organisation's excuse will be is because of MA.
Yep.
Yeah.
Motorcycling in Australia for motorbikes, because apparently they had a fair few crashes at the practice day they had here.
Yep.
And but then
so it's been cleaned up after that practice day?
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So then, my argument, if that is the reason why, is put the motorbikes down the side of it.
Yep.
Where they don't have to go over whoops.
Yes.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that,
there is enough space there.
There's heaps of space, and I know you got your professionals and you got your your amateurs who are turning up just as a bucket list to do it. And they're usually the guys that get hurt, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But that's just how it is. Yep. And at the end of the day, the prologue track should actually replicate what is on the racetrack.
Absolutely.
And my big thing is that a Can-Am could be quicker than us.
100%. Yep.
Because of the warps.
Yep.
And that, which is fine. Hey, if a Can-Am dude's doing that, he's driving well.
Yep.
But then when we get on the racetrack,
yes.
So what happens if a Can-Am's doing 140 Ks and we're doing 210 Ks?
Yep.
That's the difference. Or if it's a buggy doing that speed to a Can-Am.
Yep.
Or a whatever it may
exactly
be.
Right. Yep.
And to me, which we'll see tomorrow. Anyway, but to me, I think and I was listening to some other guys on Facebook, and they're saying, well, they don't reckon a truck will be in the top 10.
Oof. Yeah. Wow.
For prologue or for the
prologue.
race? Yep.
Prologue.
And you got a guy like Toby who he's by far one of the he's one of the best.
Yep.
Okay. And
his prologue last year was artwork.
Oh, exactly.
Phenomenal.
Exactly. He can put that stuff together.
Yes.
He's very, very good at that.
Yep.
So you look at that, and he was only just quicker than Josh House.
Yep.
And then someone said, well, someone had rolled or something, and Josh Howes had to slow down because of the yellow flags.
Yep.
And he was only just quicker.
Yep.
So you look at the track last year compared to this year.
Yep.
It's so much. It's going to be so much quicker the prologue track because it's not rough.
Yep.
It's not only just the whoops that's been smoothed out. Everywhere's been pretty much.
And it's even an interesting concept. And listen, obviously MA have got their own reasons and they've got much more experience than us. But sitting here listening to that's an interesting concept, because if they're concerned about them for the 6K prologue, there's 226 Ks down there. We wrote it in 2010 very dumbly because the bucket list. You know what I mean?
Ben grab him that year.
You say that a lot.
I do.
He's gonna when he comes on, he just boom, just straight in the face.
Yeah. Do you crash?
Yeah, he crashed.
No, he did it. He blew up his motor.
Okay.
That's the only way we beat him.
That's his own fault.
Yeah. So anyway, but if that's the reasoning, particularly if it's a bucket list item, you need to ride what you're going to ride. So, if prologue, well, really, if you're a bucket list rider, let's be deadly honest, you shouldn't even worry about prologue. Go and just do a couple of laps. Because when I rode it, that's what I couldn't believe. I dead set mid-packed it. That was cool. That's where actually, no, I didn't mid-pack it. Funny story, Sean Swaffield did my fuel, didn't put enough fuel in the bike. I ran out of fuel in prologue, didn't make it around the track. So that was an interesting one. So I got seeded mid-pack and then rode. But that was what was crazy, because I was sort of like, and I'm not, mate, I was not a great rider, but I'm a good trail rider. You know what I mean? What I'd say, I'm talking myself up, aren't I? But anyway,
mate, you sounded like you're going good.
No, but guess what I was really trying to get at is there was some dudes in front of me that I was just passing for the first 40K. But then there was dudes coming past me like I was standing still. And I'm like, how did they prologue back there? Prologue doesn't matter unless you're in the top let's say 100 on the motorbikes, and
Yep.
cars are the same sort of deal. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, the difference between 20 and 24th for a car isn't huge
No.
because you're going to be in the dust.
Yeah.
Now, the difference between first and fifth
Yeah,
is huge.
huge.
That's
Oh,
a
exactly.
big game.
Yeah.
When you're at that level, but
Yeah.
the dudes that are prepared to bin it for prologue for 40th or 44th,
Yeah.
that's a silly move. Let's be honest.
exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, yeah, like you said, you talked about Gundy being your first off-road race and just sort of comparing prologues here. You did your prologue lap at Gundy. Did you know what you were in for with that racetrack? Like, did you fully understood?
No, not really.
Not really.
No, I
No,
drove
'cause-
around it. We done
well,
our site lap, and
well,
I drove around it.
But
Yeah.
like Bear Run 2 and that, or sorry, Malapanya Run was all in it.
All
that
in
year.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, there was plenty of wild stuff
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
prologue lap for Gundy, I
Yeah,
guess is what I'm
exactly.
getting at.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
so
yeah.
you do understand what the racetrack,
Oh,
like
yeah.
the prologue track represents sort of the
Exactly.
racetrack, whereas that
Yeah.
doesn't seem to happen here at
Yeah.
Gundy, well, I think Gundy is the primest example of that because it really does seed you. It's positional. Like, that racetrack is a good, and it's hard. It's very hard because I do feel for the Finke committee. We said it with Bo. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like realistically, they need to go down to Bonduma and run a prologue somewhere down there, or you know, like
Well, it needs to run down the first 20 K's of
Yeah.
the track.
yeah.
Yeah,
Whatever,
exactly
you know
right.
what I mean?
Yep.
Like it
But they're
Yeah.
just trying to
Doesn't
do
have to be
something
a
for the
loop race,
crowd.
yeah.
Well, I've
Yeah.
seen they're trying to get the crowd
Yeah,
up.
yeah, which I
So I
understand.
get
that,
it.
yeah.
So, but it is hard because again, it needs some big ass whoops to sort
Yeah,
the
it
momentum in the car section. Well, even the bike section because there's big ass whoops down there. So
Yeah.
you know, like if you're a Toby Price, you're gonna do qualifying or a Walshy or a Simpson. Like there's some good riders this year too. That's an exciting
Yeah,
thing. But,
exactly.
yeah, but anyway, it's an interesting one because I think since the dawn of time, think qualifying has since they used to draw out a lots, didn't they? So
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, we could go back to that system. She'd be a bit wild. No, no.
Imagine
Yeah.
the whinging and pissing
Oh,
and moaning.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
anyway, the moral of the story is that you know, qualifying is always going to be difficult here, and it's going to be one of those things that. Yeah, there's some wall, and because the other thing about that is there's some qualifying experts out here.
Yes,
You
there
know
is.
what I mean? Dudes that can qualify, and there's dudes that don't qualify well, like
Yep.
notoriously bad qualifiers. But man, there's some guns. Like
Yep.
even and a lot of those rally. Remember when Cody Crocker and that? Like
Yep.
he used to be a gun. I know he was in his Polaris, and you know, but qualifying wise, his time was like in top 20s and stuff.
Yeah.
You're like, damn it,
Yeah,
bro!
pretty
Like
good.
that's fast.
And then, like you said, no offense, but and exactly what you were talking about, like they become a bit of a rolling roadblock where
Yeah.
in the road.
Well, I will give Cody the best props ever. He was a legend for looking in his
Yes.
rear.
Yeah.
Like we came up on him fast one year because exactly it
Yeah.
was funny when you talk about that. I know exactly what you're talking about in 14 and Cody, and again, he deserved to be where he was. He qualified better than us. We come up on him like he's standing still, but by the time we got to him, he'd moved off the track. We just rolled straight through. I
Yeah.
went, "You are a gentleman." Whereas you know there is some not gentlemen out there,
there's
as you know.
people,
Yeah, man. Some of them you're like, bro,
Yeah.
if you can't give it,
And then when you hit them,
Yeah, you're the bad guy.
when you give them a Morse code
Yes,
on the back,
Yes,
yeah.
yeah. The move over.
Yeah.
So one of the other things we wanted to touch on
Yes.
was, which is awesome news that has just come out, is you and Toby joining forces for Team Australia. This is awesome. So where did the idea come from for this?
Well, after I sold the other G6 in the States that Ken Block and Jack's Redline bought, I said to Rick, I said, "Oh, we'll just keep the money there and I'll build another one."
Yep.
And so after this COVID stuff, I'll be able to come over and race.
Yep.
And so, yeah, basically end of last year, my car was finished and then we decided that we'd come over and do Mint this year.
Yes.
And the plan had always been to go and do Mint, do Vegas to Reno, Baja 400
Yep.
and the 1000.
Yep.
And so I was talking to Rick about, you know, who do we, you know, who can we get to co-drive with us and all that sort of stuff. And we're sort of going back and forth with people and, well, you know, with suggestions and all this sort of stuff. And it was funny. I was actually sitting outside having a drink with my wife one night and we're talking about it with some friends. And she goes, "Why don't you just ring Toby and see if Toby wants to do it?"
Yep.
And there's, you know, a few commercial restrictions.
Yep.
With us, with different brands that we represent.
Yep.
And so anyway, so I rang Dave Ellis up and said to Dave, "Hey, I got an idea. You know, I got this truck in America." And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Do you reckon Toby would want to come and do, you know, Vegas Reno 400 and 1000?" Because funny thing was, we're just talking about if we were going to do something in America, you know, and you were going to do it with Aussies, you know, who would you with Toby, who would you want to try to do it with? And so I think they said Danny Brown and myself.
Yep.
And so anyway, so we all ended up hooking up, come to an agreement, a handshake of, hey, this is what we're going to do.
Yep.
We're going to try to do the best thing that we can and do these races together. And the biggest thing is, as I said to him, we don't want this to be just go and do these 3 races and then
Fade off.
Yep.
Yep.
I said, we want to try to do the 3 races and do 5 or 6 races next year.
Yep.
Depending on what they are. And I sort of have the belief, which I know Toby does do also, that we're capable of being able to run at the front.
Absolutely.
He'll have to qualify because he can qualify good.
No, that's right. Yeah.
But
it's all about playing the game.
It's all
Exactly.
about playing the game.
Yep.
But I believe in our own abilities of what we both can do.
Yep.
And with the people that we got around us, we're going to have Geiser brothers do all our pits and all that sort of stuff for this year. And we'll see how we go in these 3 races. And we'll come up with a plan for 2023 of what we do, how we do it, the logistics of it. It's a massive thing. It's easy for me to go and race over a Mint 400. They prep the truck's on the trailer.
Yep.
We go there, we race.
Pits are in the same spot.
On the same spot and everything like that.
Yep.
Once you throw, the 400, it's not too bad. The Vegas to Reno is easy.
Yep.
The 1,000.
I love how he says Vegas to Reno,
Reno,
just a
easy.
team running up and down. It's
it's
500 miles.
It's basically from one casino to the other. That's the important part. That's all you need to know.
You bet on black on one,
Yes,
on red on the other.
And then it comes up double zeros.
Exactly.
Like,
Screwed. Didn't pay for that race.
Yes.
But the 1,000 obviously is the biggest race of the year, the hardest race of the year. The the logistics of getting everyone everywhere to do whatever. You need people who've got the experience.
Should know this. It's a peninsula run this year.
No, it's not.
It's a loop.
It's a loop this year. Peninsula one was last year.
Yes.
And very expensive.
Yes.
Yes.
And that, so you got all those things, and it's not only about having the truck, the 2 drivers, the guys to do your stops, and the guys with all the information and all the experience down there. It's about having the pre-runners. It's about buying the pre-runners and spending the time and have the navigators who have got the experience down there and everything like that. You could bring, you could take a navigator from here over there, but they don't have the experience. Not saying that they wouldn't be any good, but they don't have the experience.
And while you're on a learning curve as the driver, you don't want
exactly.
your navigator on a learning curve.
And
as
even
well.
again, by the listening to you, we're back to that conversation about, like, is it a bucket list or are you racing? Because there's 2 different things.
Exactly.
There, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, you got to
right.
understand that.
Yeah. And that's the biggest, and that's the biggest thing. We're going there because we want to win. We're not going there to make up numbers. The other thing was, I believe that Toby had other opportunities to race again in the TT class, not in unlimited. This year as well, what he done last year. But at the end of the day, he wants to be there to be able to win. Not win a class. Win outright. And that's what we want to do. And it's this. It's as I was saying, having the car and all that sort of stuff is one thing. But the expense of the actual expense of going to the race and racing is cheap. It's all the other shit that goes along with it. The pre-runners. You can't. If you go and buy a new pre-runner now over in the States, they're $700,000.
It's more expensive than
more
a truck.
expensive than a truck. And the other problem is you can't get secondhand ones. Because as soon as they're up for sale, they're sold straight away because they're so hard to get.
People don't even know they're sold. And that's true of the truck market as well, really.
Yeah, and the truck market. And even, like we're looking at, well, hang on, what do we do? Do we buy a one pre-runner and a 6100, or do we buy 2 6100s and not do it as luxurious? With the aircon and all that sort of stuff, natural breeze. That way. But to go and get a decent 6100, there's some that come up the other day. It was, if I was still $400,000.
Yeah.
All that sort of stuff. So,
and that's US.
yes,
Just to clarify.
US, and pre-runners, a decent pre-runner is anywhere from 300 to 500,000 secondhand. So that's where it starts to get expensive.
Yes.
And the thing is for us is that we want to do it right, but we want to spend the money in the right areas.
Yeah.
And pre-running is one of those things. This year, basically we've been able to lease a pre-runner and lease a truck. To do those 2 events, which we've been fortunate enough about. But if a pre-runner comes up, we'll buy a pre-runner because we need it for next year.
Yes.
I think, ultimately, for me, I would like to say that we could go, like if we go and do the three races this year, we go next year and go, okay, we're going to do, San Felipe 250. We got to do the 500. We got to do the 400. We got to do 1,000. We want to try to win the score championship. That's ultimately what I think that, the goal should be.
Yes, absolutely.
Probably be the first international team to do something like that as well.
Maybe something like that. And the thing is, people will go, oh yeah, but you're only in a 2-wheel drive truck, and I've
Rob Mack. That's all you need to know.
Hang on, 2000 what was it? 2009. Is it a 2009 Geiser?
Yeah. It would be.
Or something. 2009 Geiser.
I mean, it's probably had a few updates, but it's still
probably had a few updates.
It is still an older Geiser
500.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
That's right. A 2-wheel drive truck, everything that's not supposed to work or win anymore, and it is doing it.
And this isn't a one-off. He's always in that top 3. He's and winning. And Rob Mack is and he proves it time and time again. Well, it's funny because again, we had the conversation with Bo about the 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive thing at the moment. Now, I guess the reality sort of indicates that that's the way it's going to end up going, maybe.
Exactly.
But at this point, we have this conversation in our group text all the time about, we've got some real 4-wheel drive lovers and I'm all about it. And they're like, you won't own anything else. Right at the moment, I don't know. If I was putting my money where the 2-wheel drives are consistent, they don't break as much, they're not carrying the extra weight. There's a lot of intro, but then the flip side is that there is a lot of fast 4-wheel drive trucks.
Oh, there's fast 4-wheel drive trucks. But one of the biggest things with the 4-wheel drive trucks too is one, they're expensive anyway. Which any truck's expensive. Let's be honest. But 2, the maintenance on them is a whole lot more, and your cost is a whole lot more. Your running cost is a whole lot more. So the thing is ultimately probably in time to sort of keep up with the bunch. I think you probably would have to have a 4-wheel drive truck, especially over there. Here I don't think so. So. But ultimately for there, you'll have to. But I think, the thing is, if we spend our money in the right areas and do the job properly and do it the Australian way, and that's sort of like with PWR, that's what we've done. We've done it the Australian way. We set a challenge. We took a massive bite. And we chewed like hell. And we had a crack and we done it. There's plenty of people who talk about going trophy truck racing in America and who can afford to do it and all that, but they won't take that chance to go and do it because they don't want to fail. And there's plenty of people who go, oh yeah, well, Paul's this or Paul's that or whatever it might be. But at the end of the day, we're going to have a crack at it. We're going to do it. I'm doing it with the best guy that we have in the country. Who just wants to go and race. And that's the cool part about it. We don't want bullshit. We don't have egos. We don't care. We just want to go and race, and we want to go. We want to go and beat them. We want to go and beat them at their own sport in their own country, and say, hey, have a look what we've done. We're from Australia. This is what we've done.
Absolutely. Well, that's one of the cool
celebrating
things.
with black rats at the finish line.
Exactly.
A few goldies,
I love it.
But that's one of the cool things is, so like a full commitment level, like a full-sized unlimited motor G6 ready to rock and roll. It's not just like you're not going to ship your truck back and forth. Like it's a full-on, exactly like with PWR. I know you haven't sold the house at home or anything, but that's the level of commitment that is going into this. Into this team. Is it officially Team Australia?
That's what we've launched it as is Team Australia, and you know, the good thing, well, the thing that we're trying to do, this has been going, like we've been, you know, this has been going since January. You know?
Yes.
So it's been funny because we've been sort of trying to keep it under wraps with what we've been trying to do, and that, so we haven't been going out to people going, hey, you know, putting props to people and everything like that. And now we're out to a heap of different companies and everything like that. Yeah, all the good Australian companies who are in off-road here, who actually, you know, who have business or do business in America, and you know, like want to, you know, we've got very good support pretty much straight away.
Awesome.
And you know, at the end of the day, the amount of money that we raise isn't going to actually pay for it, really. You know, let's be honest.
Yeah, but it's nice that you've got that support, isn't it?
It's
like
nice
that people are behind you.
Yeah, and it's the little bit of it's the extra money that we raise helps.
Yeah,
you know, helps because it doesn't come out of my pocket.
Yeah.
I was going to say, because it sort of sounded like Toby's flying coach in the back anyway. Like, mate, you got to do what you got to do. Take one for the team.
But it is good that Australian companies have got on board with you and you're able to represent them on an international stage at those races as well.
Exactly. And you know, it's awesome. Like Duncan has been in the truck with Toby and myself over there when we tested at Plaster City, and he you know, he knows what, like, you know, he rides with Luke McMillan, who they win pretty much everything at the moment. And he hopped out of that truck and goes, well, wow. He said, that's good.
Yeah, you're on pace.
We're good to go.
He said that will keep up with a four-wheel drive truck.
Awesome.
So, you know, and that's credit to Geiser brothers who you know, the G6 is a game changer that, you know, everyone talks about in America. And that, you know, there's, you know, different guys who have had an older Geiser, have gone to a Tisco, who then gone to a G6 over there. And they said it's totally different, you know, and which is good, you know, because the Geiser brothers have been, they were like one of the first.
Yes,
they absolutely were.
And the, you know, Rick and the boys there, you know, they're passionate about racing. That's every day, and it's no different to any of the other brands. And that, but you know, they're the old school guys.
Yeah. Well, we remember when they rolled out that blue. First guy, or not the first Geiser truck, but when they joined forces with Andy McMillan, that blue one, when he switched from driving Robby's trucks, and they were just winning everything.
And you look through you look through the entry list of any race in America, and especially like Baja, you know, the amount of Geisers that were there, okay, but still the amount of Geisers are still racing. You know, compared to, you know, you look at the Tiscos, you look at Masons, you know, like, you know, Mason is actually lifting the bar in engineering every day of what they do. You know, I've never been there, but I've seen you know, I've seen the videos like everyone else, and you've seen trucks and all that sort of stuff. The quality is unbelievable. You know, Tisco have done that too. They've lifted the quality, the bar of everything that they do, and Geisers are starting to do that as well. Which they've done before.
Well, they were truly the first to do that. I don't want to say production line because everything's handmade, but they were the first that started turning them out, didn't they? Because really, you had to get a custom Robby or luck onto Robby's secondhand truck. There's only a couple of them.
Post.
Well, and you know, like realistically, guys were the first one that, you know, I remember exactly the era of time. What was it like? You know, 09, 10, like it was 50 Geisers on the line.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
And all of them had those production style, and they were all a little different, obviously. Like, but you know, like, and the brilliant thing, and it was true of Australia too, is that the parts are interchangeable, the knowledge is interchangeable. The guys, SDG knows how to set one up. You know, and it was a huge advantage for the racers to go that way versus a one-off built in the, you know, because again, all the original Herbst trucks were all like, you know, basically fabbed in-house, and you know, you couldn't get bits, you couldn't
that's right.
You know, so it's an interesting concept, and you know, but a lot of them have gone that way now, haven't they? Like, you know, Herbst have now built their own truck that's a production style truck, and Tisco, and you know, a lot of these are, because again, Wyrick's, they were building their own trucks, weren't they? So interesting. So it's fascinating that it's smart that it's gone that way, and probably, and you're a man that's in that like era, is that the production equipment, you know, now there's CNC, you know, all this stuff that they can cut production parts.
Oh, exactly. You know, like they CNC bend all the frame, all the chassis, everything like that. You know, machined arms, amount of
I was going to say
billet stuff that is on race cars now. You know, is amazing, and it is more sort of production style of building stuff, which they got to do to be able to pump them out.
But obviously they've put a lot of work into, like you said, how well it hooks up, how well it drives, and everything like that.
Strength, weight,
compared to what obviously two-wheel drive, that when everyone was running a two-wheel drive, they weren't really too worried about it. Or
that's right.
They would have been worried about it, but it wasn't such a big thing. Whereas now that the four-wheel drive trucks are here, like the guys that are still going down that two-wheel drive path and believe that will be, you know, they can still be competitive in a two-wheel drive, that they're looking at how to get them to hook up better. And obviously you're saying yours is a big improvement.
Yeah, exactly. It's massive improvement of, you know, from what I believe what they were before. And like I drove a full size in 2020 at the Mint 400, which was Geiser's test truck, which I rented to do that race. And just the difference from what I remember from that to driving the new G6 when I went back over there. Night and day difference. And they've done a great job. And like at the end of the day, everyone who's building trucks always trying to lift the bar, and it's great that you've got, you know, that many companies over there still building stuff, because it gives, the fortunate thing is it gives us Australians more choice to be able to go and buy something, or be able to afford to buy something if someone getting into the sport and they want to go and buy a truck.
Or even someone building something new, and then that second-hand equipment becoming up for sale.
Exactly.
Well, that's exactly how you got started.
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
Oh, and it just pushes the limit, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like if there was no competition, there'd be no reason to be better than the last one.
That's
you know, like all of this progression is based off the fact that some dude had a chassis Class 8 truck with long trailing arms, and here we are. Like it's crazy. Like but what an epic progression that we've had. It's amazing. The trucks over there, they definitely are beautiful bits of gear. Like they works. Sorry, and I should clarify that now. The trucks here are works of art now. Like it's come a long way in even the 20 years that we've been involved, like looking at it. And, you know, when you think about some of the cars, and it's funny too, because it'll be my mind wanders to where technology will be in another 20 years. We'll be old men sitting around like talking and go, oh, you know, remember, but like
hopefully still burning petrol.
Well, I love,
hopefully we're not racing electric cars off road.
But like, you know, you look at the first Jimco that came in, or like, you know, Zach's little A-arm car and that. Like when that came in, everyone would have been drilling, and I'm still drilling over that because it's a classic. But the flip side is that now, you know, like it would have had hand welded tube arms with like plate on them and that. And now we've got billet arms. We've got all this, you know, they're machined with cutaways. Like, you know, so where are we going to be in 20 years? We'll be going like, you know, like the Mason four-wheel drive truck, like that was a classic. Like imagine that. Like,
exactly.
It'll be amazing to see. So, because that's one thing about all forms of motorsport, it never stands still. Like you're always got to be you know, moving forward with the game, don't you? So yeah, it's very impressive. We'll talk about, I don't know what time we're at yet, but just look, he's giving me the thumbs up. So he's like, probably. Because I was going to say, the only reason that we could sit here and talk to you for another couple of hours, mate.
No, but he's got to get to the airport.
But this man is going to pick up the Geiser brothers from the airport in about 20 minutes. So you've got to go. So, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure. But before we wrap up, I see the fingers. I know we always get in trouble for this. Give a shout out to the guys that have got you through so far, and you know, with the things that are coming up.
Yeah, definitely. Like we got really good support. Last year we had Spares Box on the side of the car, and people go to me, "What is Spares Box?"
Yeah,
and I go, "Well, they're online store." So Spares Box is owned by Napa in America, which owns Repco. And so Spares Box is all online, and they do everything from four-wheel drive stuff to if you wanted some brake pads for a Celica or whatever it may be. But they do race seats, they do race suits, they do everything. And so check out sparesbox.com.au and have a look and give them a go, because they're a great company, and you know, support the people that are supporting the races.
100%.
Spare Toyota CVs.
Yeah, exactly.
Plenty of them.
But KMC Wheels, Brendan from KMC here in Australia is an awesome dude. He's helped me out a lot. PWR Performance Products, obviously radiators, best radiators in the world. Don't buy any other shit.
That's it. That's the catchphrase.
That's the catchphrase. We go to do a new slogan. But Patriot Campers, Justin, you know, he's a big supporter of off-road racing with his own stuff, and it gives me a trailer to to use every year throughout the year. And then I got the guys up here at Black Cat Civil, who usually help me out with a shed and a yard to use up here, and ARB 4x4, classic, awesome Australian company. The Brown family,
and they love it.
Who are massive supporters of off-road racing. And that, which is probably a shame that we're not seeing Danny up here racing this weekend, but one day he'll
be back.
Come on, DB.
One day he'll come back when he grows up.
No.
So never.
Never. When he gets over backflipping.
Danny's an awesome dude, and that family is awesome. So did I miss anyone?
Oh, and Geisers.
And Geisers.
And Geisers.
Geisers.
Yeah,
Most
they're on the
important.
way,
I've got to
yes.
pick them up too.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, it doesn't make a difference, of the supporters and stuff like that. But having a group of companies like we've got who support us and who have been with us for 2 years now, and keep coming back, and like Spares Box are like, what can we do? How can we make this better?
Yeah, awesome.
And so if you check out obviously on my socials and all that sort of stuff, and on Spares Box socials and on their website right at the moment, they're doing Road to Finke with us, that we shot in our workshop a couple of weeks ago of the preparation of the truck and all that sort of stuff. So they're getting involved in it and trying to behind the scenes, which is cool.
Very cool.
So that's about like that video is available on YouTube. That's the place, or just on Instagram.
It's on
like
Instagram and Facebook and on their website.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, we'll definitely check it out. For sure. Yeah, awesome.
Brilliant, mate. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure catching up. And again, I knew a few of the little stories behind it, but it was very interesting to hear how you've got to be racing trophy trucks over the years and where you're at. And mate, we look forward to. We will have to catch up with you after an American race. And, we might have to do a podcast.
You might have to go.
We might have to come and do a podcast.
We could be sitting on a beach in Mexico,
Yes.
drinking Coronas, eating
San
Coronas.
Felipe is a nice little spot.
There is a great little company called Tour de Sally down there that does great places.
Knows all the spots.
But we do genuinely really appreciate you taking time out, especially this close to Finke.
No problem.
So we greatly appreciate it, mate. And we're looking forward to seeing the G6 in person tonight. There'll probably be a couple of bearded men that are very up close and personal. With
a lot of bearded men.
Don't be alarmed.
Don't be alarmed. Yes.
But yes, thank you very much, mate. We appreciate it, and we're wishing you all the best for the run to starting tomorrow and then Sunday, Monday. So
upper.
Thanks, guys. Thanks very much for having me. It's been awesome.